All right, a very good morning, everyone. Okay, thank you for coming to our Humanizing Innovation at MMU webinar series. All right, let me introduce myself. I'm Jenai from the Faculty of Business, the moderator for today's webinar. I've been working in Multimedia University in Faculty of Business for the past 11 years. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this Humanizing Innovation at MMU webinar series is initiated by the Industrial Collaboration and Engagement Center, ICEC, and co-organized by Center of E-Services, Entrepreneur and Marketing CSEP, Faculty of Business, Multimedia University. Now, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to welcome all of you to our Humanizing Innovation at MMU webinar series, and the title for today is Business Innovation, a forward-thinking and practice for business relevant, sustainability, and growth opportunity. Now, thank you for spending your time with us. Okay, please like and share this webinar to your friends and family. Now, without further ado, let me introduce to you our external speaker for today. We have Mr. Kenneth Wee, the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer of Total Agri Marketing Sdn Bhd, TEM Global Hainan Company Limited, and Boss Global ASEAN. He obtained his Bachelor of Business in Victoria University, Australia, twinning program with Sunway University. Now, besides being the CEO of Total Agri Marketing, TEM Global, and Boss Global ASEAN, he holds several other positions, such as the Director of ASEAN for the Idaho Potato Commissions. He's also the Regional Market Representative for California Milk Advisory Board, the President for St. John Ambulance Malaysia, Maling Combined Division Melaka Tengah area, and the Youth Presidents of Malaysia, Shanghai Clan Association, as well as the Assistant Treasurer of Malaysia Hainan Chamber of Commerce. He's also the Director of SJKC Malin. He has won several awards and recognition and one of his achievements is winners of 70th Industrial Leader Award in China. Besides our external speaker, now let us move on to our internal speaker. The MMU Faculty of Business speaker today will be Dr. Tan Pei Kian. Now, Dr. Tan has his bachelor degree in economics from the University Utara Malaysia. He has his master in science in quality and productivity improvement and a PhD from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. His area of expertise include operation management, complaint management, service recovery, and service quality. He joined us in MMU since 2006 till now. He was our Deputy Dean of Academy and Internationalization of Faculty of Business, Multimedia University in the year of 2018 to 2020. Currently, he's our lecturer and also the head of department for the program of BBA in International Business. He is our mentor for several international competitions such as the HSBC Malaysia Business Case Study, ICAEW Business Challenges, and also the CPA Australia Integrated Case Study competitions. And our student won several awards under his guidance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any comments, questions later, please drop it at the chat, comment or the chat box, and we will try our best to answer your questions shortly. If you like this webinar, please share and like to your family and friends. Without further ado, can we start with our first speaker? Kenneth, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, pass to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank MMU for the invitation. And of course, special thanks to Dr. Yao for your invitation as well as your past work in coordination in this program. And also, I would like to thank Dr. Tan to be with me today on this public forum together. Thank you so much. Just a little bit about myself. I'm industrial and marketing consultant in the food and agriculture. So we are working with the Idaho Potato Commission. We are involved in the dairy industries in America. We work very closely with the U.S. embassies in the region. We also have worked with the local industry, such as the Department of Agriculture Malaysia, pharma, and so on and so forth. They are also involved in food import and export, retail distribution, and food service. And lately, we also started to be involved in e-commerce as well. So bit of experiences here allowed me to contribute on my part and my areas of knowledge the public. I hope you'll be very useful to all. First of all, when I thought about business innovation, we have to be very strict and prepared with the COVID pandemic. COVID pandemic came to sudden, it's very unprecedented. Nobody faced it before. It's just great. As we look at the past, like SARS or the regional outbreak, it didn't evolve with so many countries and also it didn't last that long. So while looking at COVID-19 pandemic now, it has done a lot of impact on the social and life people, done a lot of impact on the social and economy. But looking at the recovery, it's not going to be like SARS as 3 years, about 2 years in the past. About we are looking at about 4-5 years at least. So how do we really look at the situation? How do we handle this pandemic? And how do we do now and the future? This is very crucial for everyone dealing with the future of or the company. They have to be really understand and be ready to face it. So as a result, for a lot of people, they are not actually ready for the impact and for the changes. Because very often than not, people are living in the comfort zone. When it comes to this pandemic, it just started. So as a result, when people are not prepared, they are impacted politically and also socially. But we have to be very calm and also to take charge of what we are doing and how we can do better for now and for the future. So for instance, neither that we have to prepare for immediate term and also for the near term. How do we do to survive in the immediate term, and also how do we prepare ourselves for the next growth and prepare ourselves for the next opportunity? So we have to look at the spectrum widely. How do we take note of that? How do we look at good opportunities? How do we welcome them? That's the most important for what. And looking at the industry impact, there are a lot of industries that we know of that has done are affected by COVID-19 pandemic. As we all know well, like food and beverage industry, retail industry, hospitality, automotive industry, travel, real estate, sport and entertainment, education. This industry has got a lot of impact out of the pandemic. But how do we deal with the pandemic? So you got to know the situation. For instance, the supply chain disruption, the raw material supply, the raw material availability, shortages of manpower, so on and so forth. And also when we look at logistics, how the local transportation that has done a big impact to our day-to-day life. The lack of manpower in the transportation, lack of drivers due to the COVID pandemic. So we might not have expected that a lot of truck drivers in the country of origin, they are also got infected by COVID. So they were not able to return to work. And that result in a lot of manpower shortages that affect the local transportation. When the local transportation get affected, that affects the international as well. So we have got international problems. We have got the short of container shortages, delayed, and also a lot of delayed customs clearance. So all in all, added a lot of costs. We are already facing poor businesses or no business at all, or many of the companies or individuals. But again, with all these supply chain interruptions in the world, that actually increased a lot of product costs. That actually added the cost to the goods. But how do we really come up from this pandemic? Have really added be careful and also look at the situation right now so that we can move forward. That comes to our topic today, innovation. Business innovation for now and for future. Right. So I will encourage everyone, individually and for any company, to really do analysis, to really right now, to really come to re-understand ourselves, to re-evaluate ourselves. And also we need to task to list down all our weaknesses. There's no chance to make mistakes anymore. During the pandemic, there are a lot of changes for every now and then. We are living with the challenges. So we really need to be realistic to look at our weaknesses. And also we need to be realistic to look at our strengths. We may need to fight the war. We need to really understand where our strengths are, where the weaknesses of our competitors are. As such, then we'll be able to strategize ourselves, then only to fight the war. And also we need to be realistic and wise to look at the new opportunities. And for now, for survival and for tomorrow. So those are the two combinations that we need to do now. We are not going to sit back and relax. And I hope that COVID will be over in the next month or next year. We need to be realistic to understand and see that we have to live with this COVID-19 for quite a while. So how do we do now? How do we do to survive? And how do we plan for our next adventure? So now it's really a test of innovative and sustainable capabilities for all individuals and corporates. There is no time to go anymore for what you learned in the past. We need to make it and required by the situation. So that is a proof of experience, wisdom, and we need to be visionary and creative to make all miracles. That is all what we need to do. It sounds not realistic, but that is what we need to do. Really get something different to be sustainable for our business for now and for future. And what we need to do is to add value in face of all the competition and all the challenges economically. We have to very add value for our customers. How do we deliver that so that we can gain competitive edge? We have to face this, post-COVID, it's going to be a new business, and it's not like before, but how do we make it happen? Make new challenges and new changes. So we have to look at our resources first to understand ourselves where we stand. Are we capable of competing with the current situation, with challenges to survive, to succeed? And also in the next phase, how do we cope with the next challenges of growth? We look at financial institutions for more support, new investors join in, venture capital, for instance. How do we make use of all the resources for the next year? So that is what we have to look at for post-COVID. And also the values that we have to look at, also very important. The value that to sustain our business now, how do we stretch them? How do we stretch our current value and to add value to our supply chain, as well as adding value to our customers? That is very important as well, because dealing with the COVID challenges, we look at how do we get more out of the challenge. So by adding value to our businesses, then our customers will see the edge that we are offering. So this is something that we have to really discuss about, the values of our existence, the value of growth for our business support. And then next, I would like to also touch on the business extensions. How do we look at the business extensions for the related industries, for the extended sectors, for instance? And also, there could be new opportunities that we can be venturing into for completely new ventures, new business buy-up. Because not all businesses are losing out. There are some companies are actually quite profitable for now. So how do we actually make use of our resources for our next extension plan? So we have to really start thinking all these challenges and also our strengths. How do we gain them to further explore and expand for the next year? Next, I will we also have to look at technology. How do we tap into the technology to speed up our efficiency? This COVID-19 is actually quite a good thing because with the force of COVID-19 pandemic, we are actually constantly changing. We now apply a lot of technology. For a lot of companies, they are also talking about mega ads, super ads. That actually adds to the productivity and efficiency as well, and improves the life and efficiency of the public. And also talking about cost saving. The new technology actually helps cost saving of the company, especially for international travels, for entertainment. We can cut down a lot of them. We don't totally cut them out, but then we can largely use them, especially dealing with international. We need to travel, but not everyone needs to be on the move. A lot of subordinates of ours can actually stay there and off. And also we can be more mobile, more mobilized to utilize technology and apps, coordinate with them, coordinate with our customers at the same time, and to follow up a lot of matters that we can we couldn't be so efficient in the past, but we can do today. Coming to digitalization, we waste no time anymore. Okay. There are a lot of changes, quick changes that we need to make. And also, with the reduce of physical travels now, we need to build in digitalization for good case follow-up. We have a lot of options these days. We do video conferencing, we do with Google Meet, we do with Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Go, Teams, Facebook Live, a lot of choices that we have. But how do we make use of them? Do we make use of them efficiently, wisely? How do we reach out to more people, to more audiences, more customers, more public, more consumers? So we really have to be wise and resourceful in terms of using technology. I would say that physical meetings are still very important, especially for new customers, relationship building, engagement, human touch, shoulder rubbing, especially meeting the help, sense customer security that is very important. That's why, as I emphasized just now, that we cannot cut out entirely. But how do we make use of the technology to help to complement the efficiency of our business? So that is the business information post-COVID, and right now that we have to really look make use of technology. While we lived in the comfort zone in the past, actually we had a lot of concepts, but we were not, or we did not actually execute them because of the comfort zone. But now, face of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are actually forced opportunity. That becomes a new rising opportunity we are living in. For instance, the video conferencing, we know that all of a sudden we all use Zoom very much. Zoom meeting, virtual meeting. If you look at Zoom, how you start off, and also how you put out the business. And as we can see, Zoom in 2020, the revenue actually grew by 336%. Stock price also went up almost 400%. So there's a lot of big revenue. But then that's a good example for Zoom as well. They are not just back and next, knowing what they are earning, but also looking at the next expense of post-COVID. So they are trying to get themselves ready. That's what we do. Let's take a look at the new example. Asia. Asia, as you know, Asia is an airline company with all models, accommodation, airlines, telco, like TikTok, insurance. Those are the economies or business activities that they will bring to us. But don't forget that they were all business agents or income agents. When I talk about the business expansion of public management now, they try to train themselves but then they are still walk around the travel industry. So they don't get away too much or too far away. They are in transportation airlines, so they have expanded from the the existing model. They highlight now more on delivery. And now when for delivery, price produced and anymore they can't line. And they thought about where, right? That is why I thought about the combination of technology and looking at also what you are doing that at. So how to make use of the technology now and also to cope with the current situation to overcome it and to prepare yourself for the future. So that is going to be a big market future for Air Asia to further compete with the food delivery business and also in other areas as well. Let's look at Grab, for instance. E-hailing, right? That's what they are best at, and that's where they start off. And then maybe they venture into food delivery, grocery delivery at the same time. Maybe they also engage in the partnership with the house supermarket in Singapore to expand the business. That's okay, marketing from property, sales, manufacturing, then see a lot of commerce. We also see a lot of online car showrooms, property, virtual 3D showroom, consumer market, Facebook Live, e-wallet. So these are the two challenges and also how people make business. Let's look at some examples that basically is like F&B that, right? So having said that, let's look at the Hai Di Lao, what we know, it grew very fast. Worldwide came to Singapore and Malaysia. And because of the pandemic, they actually made a lot of losses. But how do we overcome it? So this is an example from dining in to retail taxi. Okay? And also from Tang Shifu. We all love enjoying our food at Tang Shifu, but looking at the situation right now, how do we overcome it? We have to survive for the business. And then, the retail taxi is actually and also this could be a new avenue of growth for retail to enter into the market for home. Not all economies are shrinking, as I said. Some are profitable. But before we make any good we really need to be ready and prepare ourselves. As we look at the example of this picture, we all know high hill, light green. But you know that before white hair actually ventured into we had a lot of preparation. Now I would like to put this example because those are the preparations that we need to make, especially for the new venture, for those new companies, for companies that are making money, profitable, and want to really come into a new industry. That's what you can do now at the same time. Prepare yourself. Especially, like the example of Sahil. Again, looking at Dancer Francis. Before he went into the hotel industry, that this area with hotel and also retail like Sahil, but he actually did a lot of preparation. Hotel, before Time 3, Francis went into the hotel industry, he consulted Robert Fong. So he said, Uncle Robert Fong, can you say some tips how I should run a hotel? But then Robert Fong asked him, do you like running a hotel or do you like glamour? So you need president. Just like retail, maybe what else? More 10, good property buy. But then the big problems they started coming. How do we or how it is going to bring in people of consumers coming to get down met on top of spending. So these are the examples of things there I would like to start, especially during the pandemic, how to prepare ourselves is quite important. Get ourselves ready. If we are ready for change and we are ready for the next growth, and look around. Actually, we have got a lot of talent for the layoff companies, from you know, a lot of talent in the market right now that we can actually make the top talent to get them, to train them, to make them to be talents that can be useful, thoughtful for our company expansion. And also, lastly, I'd like to also touch on global opportunity. While looking at the COVID-19 pandemic right now in Malaysia, are we able to survive ourselves for now for the next 5 years? Or we should look at the global opportunity? Looking at our set, the regional comprehensive economic partnership agreement, the 50 member countries, 30% of world population, 2.2 billion population, that's a lot. It covers 30% of the global GDP. That's equivalent to 26.2 billion. So how do we look at this new market? Is that our set, member countries, how do we go about expansion? We also saw some news reports recently, even from me, encouraging us to actually look at the outside opportunities. So ask ourselves, are we ready for the next growth? Are we ready for the next expansion, our next market? Or we can actually go beyond that. We can expand it as a standpoint of a business entity. For those new force opportunities, are we ready to enter into the borderless business world these days with the technology, how we can better control, to mobilize, globalize, those are the areas of our new opportunities for any businesses that we should actually look at for now and for future. Make ourselves more sustainable and also more resourceful for our next business. That is all I would like to cover. I cover for myself and for my presentation. If you have a question to ask, please feel free. I'm very delighted to share expertise of knowledge. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Kenneth, for the fruitful sharing sections. All right, now with the examples that you give, like Haiti, Laos, okay, Asia, Roboqua, all these really make us understand the concepts better, all right? And I would like to conclude the points that in this global pandemic, no doubt it affects many industrial, as mentioned by Mr. Kenneth, like travels, educations, retail. And but at the same time, all the businessmen or entrepreneurs, please think forward and take the opportunity, as what mentioned by Mr. Kenneth. Utilize the time factor, be wise, be more resourceful, and then get ready for this new trend. All right, try to find, as he mentions, like business diversifications. Think of the strategy like SWOT. All right, what is your strength, and utilize, take the opportunity like this technology, okay, are growing, take the opportunity to grow your business through the technology. Now for the Q&A, we will do it after the speaker too. If you have any questions you would like to ask Mr. Kenneth or Dr. Tan, maybe we will answer you after Dr. Tan's sharing section. You may post it in the chat box. All right, we will try our best to answer your question later. Now, without further ado, let us call upon our next speaker, Dr. Tan Pei Kim from Faculty of Business, Multimedia University. Dr. Tan, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, Dr. Yap.
Okay, thank you. Before that, maybe those in the chat, in the Google Class, maybe you can just mute first so Dr. Tan's can be more clear. Thank you. So I give it to you, Dr. Tan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, salam sejahtera and good day, everyone. So I'll just wait for the slides to show. All right, salam sejahtera and good day, everyone. How are you? I hope you are doing fine. Thank you so much to the Center for E-Services, Entrepreneurships and Marketing, CSAM, and the Industrial Collaborations and Engagement Center, ICEC, for having me to the Humanizing Innovation at MMU webinar series. And of course, thank you so much to Mr. Kenneth Wee for accepting our invitation. On behalf of the Faculty of Business, welcome to MMU. As per our today's topic, business innovation, a forward-thinking and practice for business relevance, sustainable and growth opportunity, I will share with you a simple topic on managing supply chain disruption during the COVID-19. Next slide, please. All right, thank you so much again to Dr. Yao for the brief introduction of myself. Yeah, been in MMU for coming to 15 years, was the Deputy Dean of Academic, and now hold the position as the Head of Department for the International Business Program. Yeah, Dr. Yao already said the most important part of it. So you can link with me, connect with me via LinkedIn. So I will meet you next time. All right, let us proceed to our second topic, shall we? Next slide, please. To begin with, let me walk you through the content of my topic. First, we got to define the meaning of supply chain management. Next, the supply chain disruption, and followed by the best practices by the industry. And finally, what are the key takeaways for today's discussion? I'll bring you through from one to the second and third and last part. Next slide, please. We will start with defining supply chain management. Supply chain management can be defined as a set of approaches utilized to effectively coordinate suppliers, manufacturer, warehouses, distributor, retailer, and finally customer, so that goods are produced, distributed, and consumed at the right location, in the right quantities, and at the right time. And we hope to do this in a way that minimizes network costs while satisfying customer service level requirement. To be specific, organizations are led by efficiency-driven and responsive-driven. Efficiency-driven is the organization's ability to implement its plan using the smallest possible expenditure of resources. And the ultimate goal of responsiveness-driven is to fulfill customer needs and wants, which leads to customer satisfaction. Therefore, by achieving both efficiency and responsiveness, at the end, we could then understand why value play an important part of the supply chain. The purpose is to increase production efficiency so that a company can deliver maximum value for the least possible cost. Next slide, please. Before I share with you some of the potential supply chain disruption, please allow me to highlight the reason why is understanding supply chain disruptions is so important. First, because we have seen and experienced disruptions to the supply chain can negatively affect life, as we know, as we have seen from COVID-19. Second, and as a reminder, firms have increasingly been doing business with international businesses for many years now. As a result, supply chains are very long and extremely complex, which makes supply chains significantly more vulnerable to some types of failure in getting products and services to where they are needed to at the right time. Third, preparing for and efficiently reacting to a disruption is a top priority for many organizations, ranging from technology to food to public health and healthcare supply chain. In fact, some 80% of companies report that supply chain disruptions is a top priority. Many of these companies are putting training in place so that managerial level employees are equipped to pursue supply chain disruption mitigation and supply chain resiliency. Related to my previous point, supply chain disruption also have a negative impact on an organization's financial and sustainability of their businesses. Next slide, please. Now that we understand the basic operations of a supply chain, we can now seek to understand how one can be disrupted. So what exactly is a supply chain disruption? There are plenty actually, but for today's session, I will share 5 of it, namely risk of discontinuity, transportation and logistic disruption, natural disaster, supplier quality, and pandemics. As we know, supply chain disruptions are the worst types of supply chain risk and is categorized by significant breakdowns that take place at certain parts of supply chain across the entire supply chain as a result of a significant disruptions event. In some instances, the disruptions may have taken place due to the plant shutdown, at a raw material supplier that is far upstream in the supply chain. Yet, in another instance, the disruption may have taken place because a transportation or logistics service provider further downstream and closer to the customer could not ship products to the customer. It could also mean that multiple companies in the supply chain, due to some natural disaster or global health crisis, had to stop their sourcing, production, and delivery of materials and finished goods within the network. Apart from that, supplier quality and recent COVID-19 pandemic are also the major contributors to supply chain management disruption. Next slide, please. Let me share with you some of the recent news or articles to support all the points that I highlighted just now. First, it is related to risk of discontinuity. The shifting of supply chain from China is an old phenomenon which started from after 2008 as the global economy witnessed new rebalancing, with several emerging economies becoming the latest engines of demand and multinational companies relocating supply chain in or around this market. The expansion in trade in services such as telecommunication, information technology, business services, and finance created a fresh set of supply chain. The increase of wages in China post-2008 and the escalations of tariff war between US and China after 2018 further prompted many businesses to shift a part of their existing or new investment in countries outside China. Next slide, please. For decades, China has served as a go-to manufacturing destination for global companies. But recent events suggest that the tide might be turning. Consider these few examples. Number one, Apple supplier Foxconn announced in July that it plans to invest $1 billion in India, part of their quiet and gradual production shift by Apple away from China. Number two, Hasbro, the world's largest publicly traded toy maker, has said it hopes to have only 50% of its production coming from China by the end of 2020, shifting away from China in favor of a new plants in Vietnam and India. Number three, Nintendo is shifting some of their production of its Switch video games console to Southeast Asia from China. And the last one, number four, Japan passed a record economic stimulus package to help Japanese companies shift manufacturing away from China and either back to Japan or other countries. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this further proves that companies are reducing their dependence on China. Next slide, please. Even we also witness that some countries act quickly due to the tension of the trade war between US and China. Previously, Indonesia is in talk with the US government over the possible relocation of American companies operating in China to Indonesia, as businesses and government worldwide look at ways to diversify production in response to supply chain disruption caused by the COVID-19. Next slide, please. Moving on to the second disruption, it's related to transportation and logistic disruption. Now, still remember this incident? I believe many still remember, especially approaching Christmas in UK. Now, during last December, travel ban on passenger and freight across the English Channel threatens trade of up to 10,000 trucks a day. A line of trucks stretched for miles back from the entrance to the Channel Tunnel as the UK braced for potential food shortages and manufacturers worried over more disruption if France continued a ban on freights and passenger traffic from Britain to stop the spread of a new strain of the coronavirus. The shutdown has added a new dimension to the complexity the pandemic presents to commerce, while various countries have placed certain restrictions on travel from Britain too. We witnessed the collapse of transportation and logistics within the EU region that time. So how and when you gonna get your supplies? Next slide, please. The Suez Canal, what actually happened? The 400-meter long, 220,000 ton ship became wedged diagonally across the waterway on 23rd of March 2021 this year, after running aground amid high winds and a sandstorm that affected visibility. It was freed 6 days later. The consequences: more than 400 vessels had to wait to pass through the 193-kilometer or 120-mile canal, which connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea and provides the shortest sea link between Asia and Europe. Now, Egypt seized the ships that blocked the Suez Canal over 900 million compensation claim. This definitely disrupts the movement of vessels and the time taken to reach the destination. Next slide, please. To the third disruptions, it's related to natural disaster. Now, for example of disruption event, we can consider many, such as 2005 when Hurricane Katrina, which killed close to 2,000 people, also disrupted supply chain ranging from aid relief to food supplies to disruptions of shipping processes at the port of Louisiana. Next slide, please. The Japan earthquake in 2011 had a serious negative economic impact on the Japanese economy. The earthquake substantially reduced production not only in regions directly hit by the earthquake, but also in other parts of Japan through supply chain disruption. Next slide, please. Thailand floods in 2011 and again worse in 2020 last year. A couple days after they reported the Thailand flooding was affecting Honda's supply chain, reports are flying in other car makers are also being impacted. Honda, Toyota, Ford, and Isuzu Motor have all been forced to shut down production plants due to the floods, which have killed at least 281 people. Honda was the hardest hit company initially, as the company closed a plant that evacuated workers at its Ayutthaya production plants, which produce about 240,000 vehicles each year. According to the Wall Street Journal, Toyota has closed 3 facilities of its own that are responsible for producing over 500,000 cars annually. Imagine that. Next slide, please. Moving on to the fourth disruption, is related to supplier quality. Considering the scale and speed of the impact, manufacturers must ensure their supply chain partners able to commit to the orders, on-time delivery, and maintain high-quality standards. First, we look at the bubble tea shortage and boba supplies dries up in US. The bubble tea shops not serving its signature drink for a while, as shipping delays are keeping some retailers from getting the supplies to make the sweet beverage. The shortage started from March 2021 as US ports on the East and West Coast have been overwhelmed for months as consumer spending has increased along with a bevy of logistical issue amid the COVID-19 pandemics. Boats carrying tens of thousands of shipping containers are waiting outside the ports to be shifted the products. Next slide, please. Samsung, the world's biggest computer chips manufacturer, has warned of a serious imbalance in the semiconductor industry as global shortages cause disruption. It also said it might skip the launch of their next Galaxy Note smartphones to streamline its lineup. There are growing fears market shortages could slow economic recovery after the COVID-19. EU, US, and Chinese government are seeking to boost production. There are a serious imbalance in supply and demand of chips in the IT sector globally. Samsung was working with overseas partners to meet demand. The semiconductor shortage began last year as the pandemic hit. Suffering from poor sales, car manufacturers cut their orders from Chinese factories making computer chips. In response, the chip supply from factories was transferred to other sectors that had high demands. Next slide, please. So the questions to all organizations: will your supplier survive the COVID-19? We are not too sure. Too many uncertainty, correct? Next slide, please. Lastly, pandemics or illnesses. COVID-19 pandemics in 2020 that has disrupted the PPE and food supply chain to a larger extent that we have seen before. There are plenty of other examples. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Therefore, what we should take note now is disruption as a force for innovation, how COVID-19 will shape the evolution of technology. Next slide, please. Now we understand what a supply chain disruption is generally. It is important to understand and discuss what are the best practices to cope with all this disruption. Please take note that all these points of advice are not specific to any one supply chain and therefore can be effective regardless of context. Pictured here is a list of best practices that is important for all organizations to consider when managing disruption across their supply chain. Many of these are best explained through example, and therefore we will be discussing these more through the news articles or application by those selected companies. Focus will be given on how innovation could change the way organization operates, function, and cope with all this disruption. I will highlight 4 main innovation, namely business model innovation, product or service innovation, process innovation, and lastly, customer-centric innovation. I will also share with you some of the recent news or application or implementation and development to ease the discussion. Next slide, please. First, let us look at the business model innovation. Now try to guess, what do they have in common? Yes, indeed, all related to online services or business, and they have gone through digital transformation. Grab is the Southeast Asia leading super app. It provides everyday services like deliveries, mobilities, finance services, and more. Now, AirAsia, from low-cost carrier to new application named AirAsia Digital, to connect its growing business with customer. AirAsia Super Apps is an all-in-one platform covering cashless payment, food delivery, logistics, and e-commerce, shopping, entertainment, and travel. Food Panda, on the other hand, is an online food and grocery delivery platform. COVID-19 has changed the world we live. It has transformed how we shop, how we get our food, how we conduct our classes and meetings, where we work, how we pay, and many more. Last time, we used to have those uncles selling bread or ice cream moving around our taman. How about now? You will keep seeing and hearing those food delivery or logistic company instead. You will only hear hello, parcel, or barang, right? This is how digital technology has changed the way we operate and function. Let's pick online food delivery as our example. Still remember, before COVID-19, people used to dine in more often compared to takeaway or food delivery, right? The sales of dining in is far beyond the total order based on delivery, perhaps 10 to 20% only. But what happened now? Due to dining in restriction, the trend of shifting to online delivery has increased to nearly 70 to 80% and maybe 100%. This is just a simple illustration. Recently, AirAsia Group Berhad announced its digital unit AirAsia Digital has acquired Gojek operation in Thailand, and that it plans to launch its super apps in early of August. In their news article, their CEO mentioned that they will move from an Asian airlines into an Asian lifestyle with their digital products or payment logistic and super apps. Apart from that, their CEO also said AirAsia Digital is set to be the group long-term strategy, citing the strong ecosystem of fintech and logistic that the unit has built through its apps, teleports, and BigPay. So we may expect more to come when businesses realize that by changing their business model to stay relevant and sustain during this difficult time. Next slide, please. Now, how about product or service innovation? Too many, but due to the time limitation, I only show you some of the examples. First, 3D printing, or we call it as additive manufacturing. It is a construction of a three-dimensional object from a CAD model or a digital 3D model. What makes 3D printing potentially transformative for global supply chain management is its ability to fabricate products closer to customers around the world, customize those products in real time, and reduce inventory, shipping costs, and capital expenditure on factories and warehouses. Next slide, please. Moving on, we have the Amazon AI. Not only has it been using AI to enhance its customer experience, but has been heavily focused internally. From using AI to predict the number of customers willing to buy a new product to running a cashless grocery store, Amazon AI capabilities are designed to provide customized recommendations to its customer. In practice, AI leads supply chain optimization software, amplifies important decisions by using cognitive predictions and recommendation on optimal action. Next slide, please. When COVID-19 hit, the global PPE manufacturing industry was encouraged to immediately increase their capacity by 40% to 50% in order to meet the global demand. As you know, that was not possible, right? But there are a few things that some manufacturers did to increase capacity. One thing that they did to increase or to help in the manufacturing capacity was a collaboration between typical PPE manufacturer and non-PPE manufacturer. We witnessed the collaboration between 3M and Ford's. 3M actually manufacture PPE and Ford's are automobile manufacturer. So what do they know about making PPE and ventilators? Everyone might be asking that question, right? Well, while 3M are bringing their expertise of design and manufacturing of ventilators and respirators to the table, Ford are bringing their vast network of suppliers, manufacturing capacity, and logistic network to each of their partnerships. That's the power of international business of handling disruptions. Next slide, please. How about process innovation? Let me show you some of the related articles or examples to support all the points that I mentioned. First, the utilizations of robots and automations by Alibaba and drones used by DHL and Amazon. Next slide, please. Ford with their autonomous vehicle robots deliveries, and recently Grab also introduces their first Grab food autonomous mobility robot named Aboy. So what can this Aboy do? Aboy is capable of consolidating and ferrying over 350 orders to reduce delivery time by 15 minutes and contactless service too. Next slide, please. Finally, the AR/VR in manufacturing industry changed the way we operate and handling of work. The AR/VR technology helps detect and eliminate threats, instruct employees, and thus reduce the number of on-site accidents. AR/VR brings increased precision to every aspect of the industrial manufacturing process, ensuring not only fast time to market, but also better quality of manufactured goods. Next slide, please. Finally, customer-centric innovation. We understand that customer satisfaction plays a vital role within almost any business. Not only it is a leading indicator used to measure customer loyalty and retention, it enables businesses to identify unhappy customers, reduce customer losses and negative word of mouth, while increasing revenue. Therefore, how to create an effective customer journey? Customer journey is a complete experience a customer has with an organization. It encompasses all customers' interaction across all channels. So the question is, how can technology and innovation help improve the customer experience? First, let us look at AirAsia AI Chatbot. Back in 2019, AirAsia introduces AVA, the AirAsia Virtual All-Star, a bot which is able to answer queries from customers instantly in 15 languages. Amazing, right? Look how electronic chatbot changes the CRM system that we had previously. Try to imagine if AirAsia never introduced their AI chatbot during 2019, before the pandemic hit. We will expect major disaster due to the influx of queries and requests due to the flights cancellation. Millions of returns tickets, managing of returns, and rescheduling of trips can be simply done with just one click. I'm sure I'm one of them that using it. As reported between January to July 2020, the AVA has proven to be an incredible support throughout this turbulent period of it successfully handled and reported around 80% and resolved around 80% of requests. Now, from January to July 2020, the chatbot has handled over 34 million queries, while remaining 20% of the more complex queries were handled by agent. Amazing, right? How about July 2020 to this year, July 2021? I believe the number definitely more than 50 millions. Next slide, please. Changi Airport Contactless Service. Changi Airport has begun its preparation for when air traveler gradually resume as it rolls out the contactless technology and cleaning measures. As part of its plan, the airport is installing new proximity sensor to eliminate the need for travelers to touch electronic screen when they check in or drop off their bags. What's more, infrared sensor will for the first time enable passengers to select option and key in their travel details by pointing their fingers close to the screen without touching it. In addition, Changi Airport is also deploying technology to clean and disinfect spaces as autonomous cleaning robots in the terminal have been upgraded with a nozzle that spray a light disinfecting mist for added protections on carpets, floors during the cleaning. Next slide, please. Netflix is a streaming service that offers a wide variety of award-winning TV shows, movies, anime, documentaries, and more on thousands of internet connected. So, how does Netflix predict your likes and dislikes? Algorithms are essentially complex rules that automatically process data to reach certain outcomes. In Netflix case, its recommendation algorithm look at how you have engaged with the service and the Netflix server to pick out the new movies and TV shows it believes you will like. The system gather periodic signal throughout each view to determine whether a member is or isn't still watching. It also tracks your searches. This is how big data plays an important role in decision making. Next slide, please. In summary, what we have done so far, what are the key takeaways? Number one, both operational efficiency and customer experience are the key components to ensure a successful supply chain management. Number two, supply chain disruptions are affecting the internationalization of operation management and supply chain management. Therefore, organizations must be resilient to cope with those disruptions. Resilience is the ability of an organization to anticipate, prepare for, respond, and adapt to incremental change and sudden disruptions in order to survive and prosper. Number three, with the combination of capabilities, innovation to deliver business values, and building a supply chain resilience, I wouldn't say you can prevent 100% from disruption, but they could at least get you ready to face with whatever uncertainty that may come along. Because we are not sure whether there will be second wave of COVID or third wave of COVID. Very hard to say, right? Next slide, please. So take the appropriate measures to mitigate your business against disruption. This will ensure the sustainability of your business operation. Thank you so much. Back to you, Dr. Yao.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Tan, for your sharing section, very informative sharing. And we can conclude from Dr. Tan's that supply chain indeed has several impacts during this pandemic, such as these disasters, technology changes, all right, suppliers, and also the transportation and logistics all have been affected. Now, to reduce it, he also suggested us several solutions, such as we try to look at our own business model innovation, such as those example given, all right, how Grab take the opportunity, Asia, Ford take the opportunity to partner with this 3M. So a lot of other solutions, such as like product service innovation, process innovation, customer-centric innovation. Well, I can link both of these speakers, the way they give us the note, the advisors are really in depth, all right? So now, before we come to the next sections, I have several questions for the speakers, all right, which is highlighted by some of the audience. Now, the first question for Mr. Kenneth, all right, there's the questions here. Now, you mentioned that there are opportunities for other industry during this pandemic. Actually, some industry like e-commerce are actually growing. But how about if this e-commerce of this online company face problem after the pandemic? Will they have problems at the end? If just say no pandemic, I'm now venturing into e-business. But after that, when the pandemic ends, so will this e-business help their growing? So, Mr. Kenneth, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
E-commerce is just an extension from the existing business models, and e-commerce adds value to human lives. The world's economy is pushing for the acceptance of e-commerce, but it hardly takes off. So there are a few reasons for this slow pace of adaptation, I would say. For instance, firstly, the insecurity of exposing the critical information. Secondly, the expectation. Are we really getting what we are expecting? Thirdly, stock returns. Are we allowed to return if the expectation is not met? Fourthly, refund. This is a very sensitive and challenging part of the public. And fifth, product damages. How during delivery, this is one of the areas that we are very concerned about. So another barrier is change for most people, and also for the reason of why do I bother to change if I'm living in a comfort zone. But positively, the COVID pandemic is now a forced model of push to get people to accept e-commerce. It just helps to accelerate the business model acceptance, and for the need of the survivor, especially during lockdowns these days, we need the essentials. We need the necessities to survive, and subconsciously, we tend to forget the bad experiences that we ever had buying products online. So we are forced to accept e-wallet, which are already been very common in the morning markets in rural China. It's been a cashless society already for the better social security indeed, and improved efficiency for accounting purpose. But for us in Malaysia, we have just begun to accept e-wallet by force out of this pandemic, and before Visa wave has gotten popularized. So e-commerce will not go away even after pandemic, but will still stay on and to offer another consumer shopping experience and choice. It gives priority of what can be purchased online to save time, and people can spend more valuable time on activities or shopping physically at the shopping malls. So it trains people to have a better self-management, and that is where the quality of life improves. Thank you.
Okay, very good question. Answer. Thank you so much, Mr. Kenneth. There's a question reflects to Dr. Tan. All right. This question is from the audience. Okay, Dr. Tan. The question is, should a company invest a SCM system during this pandemic, where actually everyone now are looking at the cost cutting? So does if just say they invest, will it help to improve their sales?
Thank you so much to the audience and Dr. Yao for the great questions. Actually, if let's say you look at the supply chain, the nature of supply chain itself, we need to understand the fundamental of what supply chain management could help the organization. The ultimate goal of supply chain management is actually, one of it is to reduce costs. Because of if we look at the supply chain from the supplier point of view, supplier to manufacturer to distributor, they are all in a link that we look at internal preparations, where organizations aim to reduce the cost in order for them to achieve efficiency. So that is why if you are asking whether at this particular moment, should the company invest in supply chain, by right, we have to have the supply chain in place first, not because of the COVID-19, therefore we invest. But supply chain is actually a long-term measurements that organizations should practice. But what we need at this particular moments is, what are the best way for the organization to reduce the costs incurred It's not about the implementation, because actually all the organizations are practicing supply chain, because of we involve a supplier, it involve a manufacturer, and it involve a distributor until the end customers. So we cannot ignore the facts that organizations are not applying supply chain. So majority organizations are actually practicing it. It's just that the important issues now is how we manage the cost incur so that we can increase the efficiency. So that is what my take in terms of this particular question and concern. So I believe that every organization are practicing it, just that our strategies in terms of reducing the cost incur, and then that we can increase the efficiency of the organization. At the end of the day, it goes back to the customer. They will obtain the values that they appreciate the organization. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Tan. Yeah, agree with you. We have to really invest on something because this is a long-term investment. One more question for Mr. Kenneth. All right, and this question is from the audience, the floor. All right, what can you foresee if just say this pandemic, all right, for the next few years it keep on continue? So what are the things that we have to prepare or take precautions, all right, that the businesses should consider? What are the precautions, preparations should take place?
Well, thank you. Thanks for the question. And indeed, we really have to be realistic, as I mentioned just now, to face with this COVID-19 pandemic, because it's not going to go away. We still need to live with COVID challenges. So in terms of the business challenges, we have to be really looking at how, especially we have to be very targeted looking at your own industry, your own particular business industry, whether it is sustainable. If it is not sustainable, what we should do to change. So we have to really look look at the situation realistically. If let's say, the situation can persist, your industry can survive, over the next few years, hang on to it, do something else. But then at the same time, prepare yourself for the change and prepare yourself for the next few years, because the new landscape is not going to be the same. But how do you foresee yourself, in your industry, what is going to happen? You have to be foresighted to get yourself ready now, because by the time COVID is over, there's a real life that we have to really be living in and take the challenges. So we have to really look far ahead in the next 3 years, next 5 years from now, for your own industry, whether it's sustainable, there's a potential to continue to grow, or there's the change that you have to make immediately, because we have to compare now, for survival, and also in the next 3 to 5 years, whether there's any opportunity to continue or we should make a quick change. Otherwise, we'll be lost out in this competition. Especially time is short, we need to be quick in terms of our decision making.
Okay, very good answer. Thank you so much. I also truly agree what he says, that we have to consider taking innovation, be the first persons to be in the market, right? To take the opportunity. There's another question for Dr. Tan. All right. So Dr. Tan, just now you mentioned about importance of supply chain resilience. All right. So what organizations should take note to achieve this supply chain resilience?
All right, thanks for the question, Dr. Yao. As mentioned, resilience is the ability of an organization to anticipate, prepare for, respond, and adapt to incremental change and sudden disruption in order to survive and prosper. So what we hope organizations to take note, there are few things. First, organizations should not just building resilience internally with suppliers and customer, but also in their supply chain. But they also not only externally with their supply and customer, but also in the internal supply chain. Now, this process should be first developed internally and then should be extended externally, so that appropriate relationship with contracts with the suppliers and customer can be developed. Now, second, each company from supplier to manufacturer to distributor and retailers must also do their part in building their own internal resilience. Third, resilience also can be built across the information, financial, and physical flows of a supply chain. In order for the supply chain to return to normal operation after a disruption, these three flows must be resilient as well. Lastly, it is also important to remember that there is not a one-size-fits-all model for managing supply chain disruption. They are all unique, different, and should be handled differently. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tan, and thank you to Mr. Kenneth. All right, I can see you're both the answers from both of you are really linked and really very helpful to all of us, especially the entrepreneurs, the young entrepreneurs, the SME, in order for them to grow and take considerations during this global pandemic. All right, so it is not the end of the world. All right, it is definitely something that we can change. All right, take opportunity, rather we have to move forward. All right, rather than taking everything as a negative, think positively on this pandemic. Take the time. All right, so any advice from both the speaker before we go to the end of our sessions? There's no more questions from the floor. So any advice from both speakers? Maybe Mr. Kenneth that would like to advise the SME or the audience?
I would say, especially for this pandemic, encouragement for the SMEs actually to spend some moments, to sincerely to do your own thought analysis, understand yourself, the situation you are in now. If you have not already done so, realign your strategy to be more sustainable. At the same time, make a decision of your next move. Understand where you stand and how long you can persist to struggle through. Is it worth the effort to hang in there, or we shall make a pause for a quick change, or it's all right to make a comeback later on, if the industry is still very relevant or lucrative in the long run. So you don't leave your experience or knowledge behind, but carry them along with you, which should be very useful, still very useful and resourceful sometime in the future. If you see no future within your bearable time frame, exit and move on. If your current state is just pressing you down to struggle for a while, stay on and plan for the next expansion and execute it. Don't wait. The business model will not be the same as before, as I say. It needs to be very much customer centric. Creating values for your customers has been the need. It's also a time to consider expanding from your core business focuses, stretching your abilities to learn, and to venture into your new extended or new industries. Keep a good balance of business sustainability. We might be refusing to change in the past or to expand, but now with the painful lesson we all learn, it's a good reference for the future. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, correct. Now it's like a reference for the future. Very good. And nothing is permanent except change, right? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kenneth. And Dr. Tan, any advice for the audience?
All right, thank you so much again to Dr. Yao and the audience out there. Yeah, we understand that COVID-19 have affected majority of us, not only as a normal like me, as a lecturers, Mr. Kenneth as a businessman there. All of us get the impact of the COVID-19 also. But what we need to understand is COVID-19 will be stay here for quite some time. So even until now, we are not sure when we're going to go back to our normal life. Now, I have a lot of people who are asking me whether after the COVID-19, can we go back to the normal life as we have? We have to understand one thing is, the fact is, to go back to our normal life, it will be a challenge, okay? Because of the things is, there are a lot of uncertainty. But things what we can control now is to get us ready for the next particular disruption. Now, you will notice that a lot of companies already invested so much in their technology. Okay, even now we are having a live session via all these online tools and so on and so forth. We are doing it at home. But the thing is, these are all the infrastructures that we have already invested so much. So even some of the small companies also they invested in technology, their innovation, their IT, their internets and services, and so on and so forth. Talent's already there. Okay, we have the talent. We already invested so much in terms of money and so on and so forth. But the thing is, it don't goes to waste. The thing is, we will need to utilize whatever investment that we have put it in to let us have the opportunity for your future. So utilize whatever the investments that you had now for your benefits for future. So we won't be saying that online lecture if next another couple of months we go back to physical classes. We cannot ignore that we won't be using Google Classroom, Google Meet anymore for meetings and meeting our students. No, we can still use all this technology, but use it in a effective way or efficient way. So utilize it for some good function, but we cannot scrub off all this investment because these are a good investment. So we need to adapt and adopt to these changes. This is to get us ready. As a lecturer, we need to get ready with all this disruption as well. Yeah, thankful is because of MMU before the COVID-19, we already practice all this blended learning, flipped classroom, and so on and so forth. We already asked our students to try on all this technology before the pandemic hit. But yeah, we kept up very fast after the pandemic's hit and so on. So therefore, until today, yeah, we are still surviving. That is what I can say. So Mr. Kenneth also, we are all surviving. So I think that is something good for future lah. So still, we all still got good hope. So we hope for the best, for the better for tomorrow. All right. I wish everyone best of luck. Thank you so much, Dr. Yang.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, we have both the expert, okay, Mr. Kenneth Wee, the businessman who have actually venturing into multiple international business. We have Dr. Tan, okay, expert in supply chain, giving us advice related to these supply chain disruptions. Okay, Mr. Kenneth Wee giving us advice on how to stay your business, sustain your business. Thank you so much to both the speaker, Mr. Kenneth and Dr. Tan. All right. Thank you so much. Now, thank you. Okay, anything that Mr. Kenneth would like to share before we close to the end?
Well, as we all know, this COVID-19 pandemic is going to stay on. Just to wish everyone to stay safe and take care of yourself. Take care of your business and also your talent team. That's very important because that's how we are going to survive and to sustain and to grow. So take care.
Thank you, thank you. Same to you. Dr. Tan?
I wish everyone very productive day ahead. So please take care of yourself. We wish you all the best in all your future journeys and whatever that you aim to do with or conduct with in terms of business. And yeah, that is something that we hope everyone's doing well. All right. Thank you so much for having us again. See you all in the next segment.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for spending your time with us. We are now near to the end of this webinar. Now, during this global pandemic, please, no doubt it really affects a lot of people, but take it positively. Bring this trade as the opportunity for us to grow and make the decisions on how to change. Make sure you change according to the new norms. All right. Now, before I end this webinar, I would like to thank once again to both the speakers for spending their valuable time with us, Mr. Kenneth Wee and Dr. Tan Pei Kian, for their insightful information. I would like to thank also to my faculty of business, the team, all right, CSAM members, our dean, our deputy dean from Faculty of Business. Thanks to the organizer of this webinar, the Industrial Collaboration and Engagement Center, ICEC. Thanks to the strategic marketing, admissions, and recruitment smart divisions. Of course, I have to thank, okay, without this group of people, the MMU studio, Mr. Burhan, and the technical team for making this webinar conducted successfully. And last but not least, thank you to all the audience for attending today's sections. Now, everyone, please take care, stay safe. Now, wear double face mask and don't kasana kasini, all right? Just stay at home. Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Wonder
Thank
how
you.
fast intelligent machines run on 5G? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Wonder how creative content and online businesses are mastered? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Wonder how cybersecurity and law function? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Find out all these and many more at Multimedia University, because MMU is you, leading the digital future. Visit mmu.edu.my.